Hello. How are you? Oh, hold on. Let me raise this up a little bit. Hello. Now we can look at me from a more appealing angle rather than me looking down upon you. Oh. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm fine. I wore this yesterday, so I wanted to talk about this. I got these pajamas for Christmas. I'm very excited about them because they're super comfortable. But I find it really funny because I got them from my mom, and I said this as soon as I opened them. I said, wow, they look very patriotic. But it's funny because she said, oh, I got them because, nighttime has stars. In the night, you like the stars. And I said, yeah, I do like stars, but it doesn't look like nighttime stars. So I just thought it was really funny. Oh, what a day today has been. Today was a good day. What did I do today? I didn't do a lot. I did what any good kindergarten teacher did, or does. I bartered with one of my students for Pokemon stickers. So I have these big sticker packs that I own that have different very popular Korean characters, like Korean animated characters. And I bought them a couple months ago, probably when I was just at the store, and I used them on letters that I send and things like that. And I ended up just I told my student about it, and I was like, yeah, I have these stickers, whatever. And she was like, oh, you should bring them because I have Pokemon stickers. Now, Pokemon here is very, very popular. Like, everyone is super into Pokemon, which is not the case, really. It's not the case in the US for sure, but I don't know if like anywhere is really as Pokemon obsessed as Korea right now. I mean, maybe other places in Asia that are nearby, but I don't know about any places in like North America or in Europe that are as ready to be down and trade for Pokemon things. But the thing is, like, I like to have a whole bunch of different stickers on my water bottles. So, I mean, this one is a really bad example since this one only has one sticker. This is Molong, by the way. If you don't know who Molong is like a Korean animated character. But, continuing on. That's the kind of sticker, actually, that I was trading. And she has Pokemon stickers. And traditionally, Pokemon stickers come with this thing called Pokemon bread in Korea. And I ended up I don't buy Pokemon bread. I'm not gonna consume bad. Well, I don't know if it's bad. It doesn't look great to me. I'm not gonna lie. It's made for kids, but I'm not gonna consume food that I don't necessarily want to eat for the sake of getting a sticker. Though I am a diehard sticker fan. So I was like, okay, look, I will trade you for these stickers. And so she brought in like 20 different Pokemon stickers, which is a big deal. Because she's not a huge Pokemon fan, but the thing is, like, she'll trade with her friends because she eats the bread and whatever. And she was like, look, teacher, this is what I can trade you for some Molong stickers. And I was like, let's go. She gave me 7 stickers today. I was like, okay, I can commit to this. This is something that I can get down with. So that was the highlight of my day. I was getting a whole bunch of stickers from my student. That was lit. Okay. So today, what are we doing today? We are reading Hamlet today. Hell yeah, we are. We're reading no, we're not. We're not reading Hamlet. What the fuck? XP, we're reading Macbeth today. And so if you weren't here, what has happened is that Macbeth has officially murdered the king and gotten away with it at that. Macbeth murdered them. Lady Macbeth planted the evidence in the rooms of the people who were guarding the chamber. Macbeth actually also openly murdered the people who allegedly murdered the king, which I thought was interesting. So now he is like being celebrated, and the king's sons are fleeing where they're supposed to reign. So both of the king's sons are like, I don't want to be the king of Scotland right now because I might get murdered for the throne. And so now we're at the point where it's like, who's going to become the king of Scotland? And everyone is really thinking that it's going to be Hamlet because, well, why not? He has respect for the king. He stood up for the king whenever he was dead and murdered. So, why not? So, that's essentially what's going on. Is that everyone is kind of coming to the conclusion that Macbeth should be the king of, what is it? The King of Scotland. Perfect. We're up to date. Okay, let's get into it. It's Act 3. We're ready to go. We're just chilling. Let's see, how we doing? How long is Act 3? It seems pretty short. Yeah, it's not too long. Act 4 is really short. So, yeah, it is. Everything is pretty short. All of the acts are pretty short, to be honest. So, okay. Let's get into this, shall we? Let's do it. Act 3, Scene 1. A hall in the palace of Forres, and Banquo enters. So, Banquo, if you don't remember, Banquo is a close friend of Macbeth, and also a landowner in Scotland. Banquo says, "Thou hast it now, king, Cawdor, Glamis, all as the wayward women promised, and I fear thou playedst most foully for it. Yet it was said it should not stand in thy posterity, but that myself should be the root and father of many kings. If there come truth from them, as upon thee, Macbeth, their speeches shine, why, by their verities, on thee made good, may they not be my oracles as well, and set me up in hope? But hush, no more." So Banquo's just like, it's really interesting that all of this stuff kind of came true really quickly. Did you have a hand in any of that? He's like, did you make that happen? Did you do this, Macbeth? But I think he's kind of talking to himself about it. He's really just talking himself through everything that's happened. And it could also be just like him in a state of shock. Senate sounds. Enter Macbeth as king, Lady Macbeth as queen, Lennox, Ross, lords, and attendants. So Macbeth is already the king. He has been crowned. He is ready to go as the big kahuna of the castle. And Lady Macbeth is also here and ready to enter as his wingwoman. And Macbeth says, "Here is our chief guest, Lady Macbeth. If he had been forgotten, it had been as a gap in our great feast, and all thing unbecoming. Macbeth. Tonight we hold a solemn supper, sir, and I'll request your presence." So Macbeth is inviting Banquo to, Banquo, go into the banquet. Banquo at the banquet. Okay. Banquo says, "Let your highness command upon me, to the which my duties are with a most indissoluble tie, forever knit." So he's like, okay, sure. I mean, you're the king, so I gotta go. And Macbeth says, "Ride you this afternoon?" Banquo, "Aye, my lord." Macbeth, we should have else desired your good advice, which still hath been both grave and prosperous in this day's council, but will take tomorrow. Is't far you ride? So Macbeth is just essentially being like, so, Banquo, let's sort out the deets of how you're going to get to this. Like, are you going to have to come far? What are you doing tomorrow? Like, what are your plans, Banquo? And Banquo says, as far, my lord, as will fill up the time twixt this and supper. Go not my horse the better. I must become a borrower of the night for a dark hour or twain. Macbeth, fail not our feast. So Macbeth is just like, look, okay, come on, we'll have a good time. Banquo's like, yeah, I don't want to get too drunk. I don't want to be hungover in the morning, so I can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? So they're just kind of like talking about what's going to happen. And Banquo says, my lord, I will not. Macbeth, we hear our bloody cousins are bestowed in England and in Ireland, not confessing their cruel parricide, filling their hearers with strange invention. But of that tomorrow, when therewithal we shall have cause of state craving us jointly, hie you to horse, adieu, till you return at night. Goes Fleance with you? So Macbeth is just like, I am so excited to see you at dinner. And Banquo says, aye. Oh, well, he's asking, are you going to go with Fleance? Because Fleance, I believe, no. Fleance is not here. But he's asking if Fleance is going to accompany him to the dinner. Fleance is his son, by the way. And Banquo says, aye, my good lord, our time does call uponst. Macbeth. I wish your horses swift and sure of foot, and so I do commend you to their backs. Farewell. And then Banquo just like rides off. He's like, bye. I don't want to stay for the rest of your monologue. And Macbeth says, let every man be master of his time till 7 at night, to make society the sweeter welcome. We will keep ourselves till supper time alone. While then, God be with you. And everyone exults except Macbeth and an attendant. So yeah, I like how Macbeth goes on and Banquo just leaves. Because, I mean, if you've seen anything earlier in this, you know that he will just go on and on and on and talk and talk and talk until you're just completely done with him. So anyway, okay, Macbeth and his attendant are there. And Macbeth says, Sirrah, a word with you. Attend those men, our pleasure. And the attendant says, oh, here, let's make him look different. The attendant, they are, my lord, without the palace gate. Macbeth says, bring them before us. And the attendant exits. And this is exactly what I mean. Macbeth is about to go on like an entire monologue about nothing. Well, it's probably about something, but like it's not that important. It doesn't move the plot forward that much. To be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. 'Tis much he dares, and, to that dauntless temper of his mind, he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valour to act in safety. There is none but he, whose being I do fear, and under him my genius is rebuked. As it is said, Mark Antony's was by Caesar. He chid the sisters, when first they put the name of king upon me, and bade them speak to him. Then, prophet-like, they hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown, and put a barren sceptre in my gripe, thence to be wretched with an unlineal hand, no son of mine succeeding. If it be so, for Banquo's issue have I filed my mind, for them the gracious Duncan have I murthered, but rancors in the vessel of my peace, only for them in mine eternal jewel, given to the common enemy of man to make them kings, the seeds of Banquo kings. Rather than so, come fate into the list, and champion me to the utterance. Who's there? So, right. He is spitting, right? Am I right or am I right? He's just like, oh, he's just... Right. Anyway, so Macbeth is just he's kind of shit-talking Banquo a little bit. He's like, fucking Banquo. Because Banquo, immediately in the first scene, he was a little bit jealous because the witches weren't talking about him. Because the witches were like, oh, Macbeth, you're going to become king soon, and you're going to get some land, and you're going to run into some really good fortune, and I'm really excited for you. And Banquo's like, what about me, though? Like, do I get anything? And they're like, we're so happy to see you came back safely. That's so nice. And So Banquo's always been jealous. He's always been a little envious. And Macbeth is like, is that going to hinder our relationship? Is that going to make Banquo someone I can't trust anymore? And I think that's going to kind of unravel into something. I know, Banquo, I don't know, man. Zoo, I'm thinking that Banquo is not gonna survive. Or at least, he's not gonna survive the friendship. Because the way Macbeth is treating it, it's making me feel like Macbeth is saying, hey, Banquo, you a little sus. I don't know if we can hang around you anymore. But I also can't have you carrying around that information. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That is the hunch that I'm coming to. So the attendant comes back with 2 murderers. What? And 2, so Macbeth says to the attendant, now go to the door and stay there till we call. And the attendant exits. Was it not yesterday we spoke together? So wait, what? I'm so confused. Why are there murderers? Are these? No, there's no way. Okay. Murderer 1. We're just gonna have him be a classic stabber. We'll have murderer 2 be the arsonist. Anyway, murderer 1. It was, so please your highness. And Macbeth says, well then now, have you considered my speeches? Know that it was he in the times past which held you so under fortune, which you had thought had been our innocent self. This I made good to you in our last conference, passed in probation with you, how you were born in hand, how crossed the instruments, who wrought with them, and all things else that might to half a soul into a notion crazed, say, thus did Banquo. Okay. I think Macbeth is planning Banquo's death with these murderers. Anyway, murderer 1 says, you made it known to us. Macbeth said, I did so, and went further, which is now our point of second meeting. Do you find your patience so predominant in your nature that you can let this go? Are you so gospelled to pray for this good man and for his issue, whose heavy hand hath bowed you to the grave and beggared yours forever? So he's like, are you willing to cross a man who's given you this job, but also given you this heavy burden to live with as a murderer? And murderer 1 says, we are men, my liege. Whatever the fuck that means. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, murderer 1. Murderer 1! What are you saying? Because it could go both ways. It could be like, we are men, so we are strong and we can handle this burden. But it could also mean we are merely human beings. So, murdering isn't my favorite thing to do, and I'd rather not cross somebody that I have come to become acquainted with and possibly enjoy the company of. So it could really go both ways. And Macbeth says, aye, in the catalogue ye go for men, as hounds and greyhounds, mongrels, spaniels, curs, shafts, water rugs, and demi-wolves are clept, all by the name of dogs. The valued file distinguishes the swift, the slow, the subtle, the housekeeper, the hunter, every one according to the gift which bounteous nature hath in him closed, whereby he does receive particular addition from the bill that writes them all alike, and so of men. Now, if you have a station in the file, not i' the worst rank of manhood, say it, and I will put that business in your bosoms. Though whose execution takes your enemy off, grapples you to the heart and love of us, who wear our health but sickly in his life, which in his death were perfect. So, he's basically saying that these murderers shouldn't think of themselves as men. They should think of themselves as the role that they're filling themselves in. Or I guess, think of themselves as the role they're putting themselves in. Because at this point, you can't think of yourself as a person when you're taking the life of a person, because it's your job. It's your job to take that person's life. And murderer 2, aka Mr. Arson, says, I am one, my liege, whom the vile blows and buffets of the world hath so incensed. My job. I know, right? I mean, to be fair, you could say that about any job. You could say that any career that you go into is going to be soul-sucking at some point. So, are you really human whilst performing your job? Okay, anyway. I am one, my liege, whom the vile blows and buffets of the world hath so incensed that I am reckless what I do to spite the world. And murderer one says, and I another, so weary with disasters, tugged with fortune, that I would set my life on any chance to mend it or be rid on it. So they both must have like some backgrounds that just aren't very good. They're like, I want to clear my name. I want to make sure that any of the bad things that I've done can be set straight, because I'm tired of living with this history, this past that's preventing me from doing something better. Macbeth says, both of you know Banquo was your enemy. And both of them said, true, my lord. And Macbeth says, so is he mine, and in such bloody distance that every minute of his being thrusts against my nearest of life. And though I could with barefaced power sweep him from my sight and bid my will avouch it, yet I must not, for certain friends that are both his and mine, whose loves I may not drop, but wail his fall, who I myself struck down, and thence it is that I to your assistance do make love. Masking the business from the common eye, for sundry weighty reasons. Hello, Ariel. So, essentially, Macbeth is like, look, we all hate Banquo here. I can't personally murder him because if I do that, I get a bad rep as the king. Plus, I could be killed. And also, Banquo and I have mutual friends, so that's going to be really hard to talk about at dinner parties and kind of get over that. I'd have to separate guest lists, but, right, exactly. Kill them all. Thank you, Ariel. But yeah, so he's just like, look, we got to get the murderers in here. We got to make sure that they kill Banquo for Macbeth so that Macbeth can have a pleasant time as the king, especially since he just gained the throne. Murderer 2 says, we shall, my lord, perform what you command us. And Murderer 1 says, though our lives, and Macbeth just immediately cuts him off because he's a dick, and says, your spirit shine through you. Within this hour at most I will advise you where to plant yourselves, acquaint you with the perfect spy of the time, the moment on it, for it must be done tonight, and something from the palace. Always thought that I require a clearness, and with him to leave no rubs nor botches in the work. Fleance, your son, that keeps him company, whose absence is no less material to me than is his father's, must embrace the fate of that dark hour. Resolve yourselves apart. I'll come to you anon. Macbeth, I swear, Macbeth is just like, okay, look, I already have a plan drawn up. I made this map, and you're going to stand here, and then at this time you're going to move and adjust, and you are going to go in, and you're going to take his son, and you're going to kidnap him. Not kidnap him, but more like man-nap him, and make him drunk, or distract him with a pretty dance, while the other one is murdering his father, and then, right, man-nap, I know. Well, Fleance isn't a child, I don't think. Because, Fleance speaks like an adult. So, anyway, that's what's happening. And both of the murderers say, we are resolved, my lord. And Macbeth says, I'll call upon you straight, abide within. It is concluded. Banquo, thy soul's flight, if it find heaven, must find it out tonight. Okay. So, Macbeth is now planning Banquo's death. I feel like this entire play is just about planning people's deaths. He's just like, look, we gotta kill some people. It's not even about being king anymore. It's just about killing people. Oh. Okay, so they exhumed. And then we start scene numero dos. And it's inside the palace of Forez. So I'm guessing, is this I'm guessing this is their new place. Like it's the King of Scotland's palace. I think that's what it is. I think that's. Anyway, Lady Macbeth comes in. She's the queen now, and they have a servant. And Lady Macbeth says, "Is Banquo gone from court?" And the servant says, "Aye, madam, but returns again tonight." And Lady Macbeth says, "Say to the king I would attend his leisure for a few words." The servant says, "Madam, I will." I am so excited to see what Lady Macbeth has to say, because you think Macbeth is savage? Wait until you meet Lady Macbeth, who is double the savage and will do twice as much as this man. I swear. She's probably going to be like, "Bro, Banquo is coming to dinner tonight. I have like 7 ways to kill this man, and I will do it in an instant, and I do not care if no one wants to talk to me at dinner after this. If anything, I don't want to host a dinner for the rest of my life. I just want to be queen." Anyway, I could see that happening. But let's see what actually happens. Lady Macbeth says, "Naught's had, all is spent, where our desire is got without content. 'Tis safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy." Ooh. I like that. So she's saying it's better to be in a controlled environment that you yourself have like really messed up than to be waiting for like crap to fall down and tiptoeing around the problem. Anyway, Macbeth comes in, and Lady Macbeth says, "How now, brown cow? My lord, what do you keep alone of sorriest fancies your companions making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died? With them they think on. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done." Anyway, so Lady Macbeth is just like, "Macbeth, chill out. What's done is done. Are we moving on? Are we gonna do anything? Anyway, Macbeth says, We have scorched the snake, not killed it. She'll close and be herself, whilst our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. But let the frame of things disjoint, both the worlds suffer, ere we will eat our meal in fear and sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we to gain our peace have sent to peace, than on our torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave, after life's fitful fever he sleeps well. Treason has done its worst, nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign levy, nothing can touch him further. So Macbeth is like, yeah, I feel fine now, you know? The king, the previous king of Scotland, aka Duncan, he's dead. And he's chilling in the ground. Nothing can hurt him anymore. Because guess what? He's in the ground and dead. Huzzah! So, you know, there's nothing further I can do to hurt him. Because he is dead. And Lady Macbeth says, "Come on, gentle my lord. Sleek o'er your rugged looks. Be bright and jovial among your guests tonight." So Lady Macbeth is like, "Bro, party foul. Don't be talking about death up in here. You need to remember we are among others, or soon will be." And Macbeth says, "So shall I, love. And so I pray ye you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence, both with eye and tongue." That sounds nasty. "Unsafe the while that we must lave our honors in this flattering streams, and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are." Okay, I said that poorly. One more time. "Unsafe the while that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams, and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are." So essentially, he's just like, poker face, bro. Right, I know. Why can't he just say, you know, look at him nicely and say nice things? Why does he have to say tongue? I don't know. Anyway, so Macbeth is like, "Yeah, totally, I can do that, and you do the same." And Lady Macbeth says, "You must leave this." And Macbeth says, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou knowest that Banquo in his flayance lives. Lady Macbeth. But in them nature's copy not eternal. Who's Macbeth? Macbeth is the cousin of McDonald's. Just, yeah. And Lady Macbeth is the wife of Ronald McDonald. They're like characters in the McDonald's franchise. I don't know if you've been here long enough to really understand how it works. But Patrick, I'm messing with you, so I'm so sorry. Okay, so Macbeth says, there's comfort yet, they are assailable. Then be thou jocund, ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecat's summons. The shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal. There shall be done a deed of dreadful note. Okay, so Macbeth is just like, look, Banquo's alive. I think we should like fix that. And Lady Macbeth's like, bro, I don't know why we need to do that, but like if you say so. And Macbeth is like, yeah. This is just like Duncan again, where Macbeth is like, hey, I'm supposed to be king. And Lady Macbeth's like, oh, how are you gonna do that if he's alive? And then Macbeth's like, we gotta kill him. And Lady Macbeth's like, yeah, I got a plan. I drew a map. And then anyway, so Lady Macbeth says, what's to be done? She's ready. She is ready to kill this man if she needs to do it. And Macbeth says, be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. Come, sealing night, scarf up with a tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, whiles nights black agents to their praise do rouse. Thou marvellest at my words, but thou hold thee still. Things bad begun make strong themselves by ill, so prithee go with me. So Macbeth is saying, look, be dumb. Act like you're dumb. You're a woman, so act dumb. I do this all the time, by the way, where I'm just like, huh? I don't know what's happening. I just showed up to the party. And when there's a murder, obviously, like, I can't act like I know that there's supposed to be a murder. What? So, yeah, Macbeth's just like, play dumb. If I need you to do something, I'll call you over. And that's it. What's done is done. The end. But he's already got killers on this, so, like, I don't understand how that's... She doesn't really need to be in on it, to be honest. So I think they're going to be fine. Anyway, we're going into scene 3. You know, scene 3 is starting. And it's nightfall in a pathway. We're really specific here. Thank you, Shakespeare, for writing this so well. Okay. And 3 murderers enter. I thought there were only 2. What the hell? Macbeth really went all out with this. Not only did he hire 2 murderers, he ordered a 3rd. And murderer 1 said, but who did bid thee join with us? Yeah, for real! That's what I said! And murderer 3 says, Macbeth. Murderer 2 says to murderer 1, he needs not our mistrust, since he delivers our offices and what we have to do to the direction just. And murderer 1 says to murderer 3, then stand with us. The west yet glimmers with some streaks of day, now spurs the late traveller apace to gain the timely inn, and near approaches the subject to our watch. And murderer 3 says, hark! I hear horsets! I'm imagining murderer 3 is like really bad at being a murderer because he's shouting and also showed up late to the party and didn't come to like the planning meeting. Or he's just like the worst undercover murderer of all time. Like pretending to be a murderer, but somebody paid him to be there to act like he was supposed to be one of the murderers for Banquo. Anyway. Oh, I'm just reading. Patrick. Oh, I get it. It's like Patrick, but it's Patrick. Anyway. Okay, Banquo says from within, give us a light there, ho! If anything, if I was a murderer, I would want to murder him too. because, he called me a hoe as a murderer. And murderer 2 says, then 'tis he, the rest, that are within the note of expectation, already are in the court. Murderer 1, his horses go about. Murderer 3, almost a mile, but he does usually, so all men do from hence to the palace gate, make it with their walk. And then Fleance comes in. Yeah, like a British Patrick. Got it. Okay. So Fleance comes in. Fleance is Banquo's son, remember. And he's holding a burning torch. And Banquo, I love how they word this. I love how the editor of this edition has worded this. Enter Fleance holding a burning torch and Banquo. I want to imagine him holding his father and a torch like, hello, I will carry my father into this home with a torch in one hand and my father in the other, and I will cross the threshold with him as if we have just been wed. Huzzah! Oh, my flame is so small. Anyway. And murderer 2 says, a light! A light! Murderer 3, 'tis he! Murderer 1, stand to it! And Banquo says, it will be rain tonight. I can't imagine someone small talking with me. And we're talking, because people talk about the weather when they don't know what to talk about otherwise. And being like, oh man, I really hope the weather's nice tonight. And somebody says, it will be rain tonight. I think I would die of embarrassment. Anyway, murderer 1 comes in. Let it come down! And murderer 1 strikes out the torch and the others attack Banquo. Okay, so murderer 1 throws the torch out of the area. I imagine everything is just catching on fire, even though I know that's probably not what is happening. And then the other 2 are attacking Banquo. And Banquo says, oh, treachery, fly, good Fleance, fly, fly, fly! Thou mayest revenge, oh, slave! So Banquo dies. It just says he dies. Rip. And then Fleance escapes. He did not get man-napped. And murderer 3 says, who did strike out the light? Murderer 1, was it not the way? Murderer 3, there's but one down, the sun fled. Murderer 2, we have lost but half of our affair. And murderer 1 says, well, let's away and say how much is done. So I like how murderer 3 is really trying to step up as the leader here. He's like, I know I just joined the group, guys, but I also know this isn't the way we were supposed to murder. We only did a half of the job. Right. We got the Big Mac, but the Big Mac Jr. has fled. The Junior Mac. The amount of Mac jokes I've made while reading this has been immeasurable. Anyway, so they all exhumed because they've failed their mission. They've only murdered Banquo. They haven't married Fleance. And scene 4 starts. In the hall of the palace at Forres, a banquet has been prepared. Okay, so everyone is in the grand hall. Everyone's having a great time. Everyone's wearing the best fit that they have because they're at the king's palace. And Macbeth comes in, and Lady Macbeth comes in, and Ross comes in, and Lennox, and the lords, and the attendants. They're all there, and they're all having a blast. And Macbeth says, you know your own degrees. Sit down. At first and last, the hearty welcome. And the lords say, thanks to your majesty. It's so weird. The way plays are written, it's weird to have like all of these people saying the same thing at the same time. Because in like a musical, I get it. If people are singing in unison, whatever. But like nobody ever says the same thing at the same time in real life this much. Like everyone sitting at a table is not going to be like, haha, thanks to your majesty. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, sure. Anyway, Lady Macbeth sits at her throne. The guests sit at the table. And Macbeth says, ourself will mingle with society and play the humble host. Our hostess keeps her state in best time. We will require her welcome. So, Lady Macbeth is just going to chill and sit, and Macbeth is just going to mingle with everyone and be like, hey, thanks for coming to my party. Want to play beer pong? Yeah, the lady will watch. She's not my partner. She's not good. She's got really bad depth perception. She forgot her glasses. Anyway, Lady Macbeth says, pronounce it for me, sir, to all your friends, for my heart speaks. They are welcome. And Murderer 1 comes in as the guests acknowledge their welcome, and Macbeth says, see, they encounter thee with their hearts' thanks. Both sides are even. Here I'll sit in the midst. And then he says to the lords, be large in mirth, anon we'll drink a measure, the table round. So he wants everybody to get drunk. And then he says to the murderer, there's blood upon thy face, you idiot. Why are you coming into my party with blood on your face? And the murderer said, 'tis Banquo's then. He's dead, bro. And Macbeth says, 'tis better thee without than he within. Is he dispatched? Murderer, my lord, his throat is cut. That I did for him. I did it, senpai. I murdered Banquo. And Macbeth says, thou art the best of the cutthroats. Yet he's good that did the like for Yet he's good that did the like for Fleance. If thou didst it, thou art the non-parial. And the murderer says, most royal sir, Fleance is scaped. And Macbeth is about to be pissed. I imagine he's just like putting a pipe or like a big ass Cuban cigar in his mouth, and he's just like, then comes my fit again. I had else been perfect, whole as the marble, founded as the rock, as broad and general as the casing air. But now I am cabined, cribbed, confined, bound into saucy doubts and fears. But Banquo's safe? So he's just like, it's fine. Is Banquo hidden? Is Banquo's body gone? And the murderer says, aye, my good lord, safe in a ditch he bides, with 20 trenched gashes on his head, the least a death to nature. So the murderer's like, we tried to make it look as natural as possible, even though we slit his fucking throat. But, you know, we bashed his head in with some rocks, and it made it look like he fell into the ditch. Macbeth said, thanks for that. There the grown serpent slide, the worm that's fled hell hath nature that in time will venom breed, no teeth for the present. Get thee gone, tomorrow we'll hear ourselves again. And then the murderer gets out, because he's just like, okay, you know what, you done what you did, and you did what you done. And that's all you can done do. So just leave, I don't really care, I'll see you later. And Lady Macbeth comes in. My royal lord, you do not give the cheer, the feast is sold that is not often vouched. While 'tis a making, 'tis given with welcome. To feed were best at home, from thence the sauce to meat is ceremony. Meeting were bare without it. So Lady Macbeth is like, why the long face? What's so terrible? I thought you had a plan. And then Banquo's goddamn ghost comes in. And it sits in Macbeth's place and says to Lady Macbeth, Macbeth says to Lady Macbeth, sweet remembrancer. And the Lord said, now, good digestion wait on appetite, and health on both. So I don't know who can see this ghost. I don't think anyone can see this ghost right now. At least we haven't had anybody acknowledge it. So Lennox says, mayst please your highness sit? And Macbeth says, here had we now our country's honour roofed, were the graced person of our Banquo present, who may I rather challenge for unkindness than pity for mischance. So Macbeth is just like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down. You know, I wish to make a toast for Banquo, who apparently was supposed to be here, but I have no idea where he is. Does anybody know where he is? And Ross says, his absence, sir, lays blame upon his promise. Please it your highness to grace us with your royal company. And Macbeth says, the table's full. And Lennox says, here's a place reserved, sir. Macbeth says, where? He's like, I don't understand. Where am I supposed to sit? So maybe Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost because he can't see that there's a seat open for him. And Lennox says, here, my good lord. What is it that moves your highness? And Macbeth says, which of you have done this? And lords say, what, my good lord? So Macbeth is like, is somebody pranking me? Why is there a ghost that looks like Banquo? And Macbeth says to the ghost, thou canst not say I did it. Never shake thy gory locks at me. So Macbeth is like, Banquo's ghost, Banquo, I didn't technically murder you. So you can't look at me in the eye and act like I did this to you because technically I didn't. Technically someone else murdered you. So don't look at me like that. And Ross says, gentlemen, rise, his highness is not well. So they think Macbeth is falling into madness. And Lady Macbeth says, sit, worthy friends, my lord is often thus and hath been from his youth. Pray you, keep seat. The fit is momentary, upon a thought he will again be well. If much you note of him, you shall offend him and extend his passion. Feed, and regard him not. And then, classic nobility getting away on a technicality. I know, right? Lady Macbeth is just like, isn't he so funny? He does this sometimes. And then she like pulls him aside for a second. I imagine just like, are you a man? And Macbeth says, I, and a bold one that dare look on that which might appall the devil. And Lady Macbeth says, oh, proper stuff. This is the very painting of your fear. This is the air-drawn dagger which you said led you to Duncan. These flaws and starts impostered such true fear would well become a woman's story at a winter's fire and authorized by her grandam. Shame itself. Why do you make such faces? When all's done, you look but on a stool. She's like, you're hallucinating. You literally see nothing. You look like a crazy person. Can you sit down and act normal? This is exactly what you want. You have exactly what you want right now. Are you really trying to jeopardize that over the fact that you are going nuts over a ghost? And Macbeth says, prithee, see here, behold, look to lo. How say you? So Macbeth is just like, how can you not see this? How can you not see this ghost? Why, what care I if thou canst nod? Speak too, if charnel houses and our graves must send, those that we bury back our monuments shall be the maws of kites. And the ghost leaves. And Lady Macbeth says, what? Quite unmanned in folly? And Macbeth says, if I stand here, I saw him. Lady Macbeth says, what? For shame. Which I kind of get it. Oh! Lady Macbeth is a real G. Like, she has done so much for this man, and this man is messing it all up because he's being super dramatic, because he's seeing a ghost. Seeing a ghost. It might not even be a real ghost. And he's acting out, and he's not keeping it to himself. He's just like, I see it. I see the ghost. How do you not all see this? I would be so upset if I was her, because she's done so much to also get here, and if he fucked that up, I'd be like, what are you doing? Because she'd be left with nothing if he gets killed or if he gets arrested. Like, what is she gonna have? She's not gonna have anything, because he's the one who owns the land. He's the king. So if he dies, she's probably not going to get to be the queen anymore, because like, just because she's royalty doesn't mean she has any power. So she's royalty. She just inherited the throne of the queen because of marriage. Okay. And Macbeth says, blood hath been shed ere now, in the golden time ere human statute purged the gentle wheel, aye. And since two murthers have been performed too terrible for the ear. The time has been that when the brains were out, the man would die and there an end. But now they rise again. The 20 mortal murthers on their crowns, and push us from our stools. This is more strange than such a murther is. Lady Macbeth, My worthy lord, your noble friends do lack you. She's like, you're in front of other people. Can you please keep this to yourself until we get into a private place? And Macbeth says, I do forget. Do not muse at me, my most worthy friends. I have a strange infirmity, which is nothing to those that know me. Come, love and health to all. Then I'll sit down. Give me some wine. Full. And Banquo's ghost comes in, and Macbeth doesn't see it. I drink to the general joy of the whole table, and to our dear friend Banquo, who we miss. Would he were here, to all in him we thirst, and all to all. So he's still pretending like Banquo's not dead. And the lords say, our duties and the pledge, Macbeth says. So he sees the ghost. Avaunt, and quit my sight, let the earth hide thee. Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold. Thou hast no speculation in those eyes which thou dost glare with. Macbeth is really good at subtleties. Lady Macbeth says, think of this, good peers, but as a thing of custom. 'Tis no other, only it spoils the pleasure of the time. And Macbeth says to the ghost, what man dare I dare approach thou like the rugged Russian bear, the armed rhinoceros, or the Hyrcan tiger? Take any shape but that, and my firm nerves shall never tremble, or be alive again, and dare me to the desert with thy sword. If trembling I inhabit, then protest me, the baby of a girl, hence horrible shadow, unreal mockery, hence. And Banquo's ghost leaves. Why so be gone? I am a man again. And then he turns to the guests and he's like, pray sit still. So he looks really crazy. This is a real big party foul. Lady Macbeth says, I have displaced the mirth, broke the good meeting, with most admired disorder. Lady Macbeth is like, everyone should just leave. Honestly, can we just stop this? This is terrible. This is really going really poorly. Macbeth says, can such things be and overcome us like a summer's cloud without our special wonder? You make me strange even to the disposition that I owe. When now I think you can behold such sights and keep the natural ruby of your cheeks when mine is blanched with fear. He's like, how can you just sit here and be normal? How can you go on and pretend that everything is fine when all of this has happened? And Ross says, what sights, my lord? Lady Macbeth, I pray you not. Speak not. He grows worse and worse. Question enrages him at once. Good night. Stand not upon the order of your going, but go at once. Lady Macbeth is like, everyone out now. Do not talk to him. Do not question him. She's afraid. She's afraid he's going to talk about what happened. She's afraid that he's going to spill that he murdered. And Lennox says, good night, in better health attend his majesty. Lennox is a mood. Lennox is like, we out. And Lady Macbeth says, kind good night to all. And all the guests and attendants exit. Exeunt. And Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are the only ones left. And Macbeth says, it will have blood, they say. Blood. It will have blood. Stones have been known to move and trees to speak. Augurs and understood relations have by maggot pies and choughs and rooks brought forth the secretest man of blood. What is the night? Lady Macbeth, almost at odds with morning, which is which? So Macbeth is like, how late is it? What time is it? Lady Macbeth is like, it's almost morning. Macbeth says, how sayest thou that Macduff denies his person at our great bidding? Lady Macbeth, did you send to him, sir? Macbeth, I hear it by the way, but I will send. There's not a one of them but in his house. I keep a servant feed. I will tomorrow, and betimes I will, to the wayward sisters. More shall they speak, for now I am bent to know by the worst means the worst. For mine own good all causes shall give way. I am in blood, stepped in so far that, should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go over. Strange things have I in head that will it to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanning. And Lady Macbeth says, we lack the season of all natures, sleep. Macbeth says, come, will to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that once hard use, we are yet but young indeed. So, Lady Macbeth is just like, you're not built for this kind of thing. Clearly. Because you can't even handle murdering someone. So I don't know why you did it in the first place. Because if you can't handle it, you can't handle it. And that's just you. And you know what? That's fine. And that's totally cool and whatever. But like, don't do stuff you can't handle. Just saying. So then, let's see. Okay. Let's finish this goddamn act. We have scene 5 and scene 6. So scene 5 first. And it's a heath, and there is thunder. Kabam! And the three witches enter, meeting Hecate. I don't remember who Hecate is. Who is Hecate? She is the goddess of the witches. I'm into it. And she about to say the word saucy. I'm into that too. Okay. Shakespeare is getting saucy. Anyway, which one? Why, how now, brown cow? Hecate. You look angrily. I know, right? Saucy. And Hecate says, have I not reason, beldams, as you are saucy and overbold? How did you dare to trade in traffic with Macbeth in riddles and affairs of death, and I, the mistress of your charms, the close contriver of all harms, was never called to bear my part, or show the glory of our art? She's like, what the fuck are you doing talking to Macbeth, and telling him things, and provoking him to speed up the process that was never supposed to be sped up in the first place? Why are you provoking him? Why are you telling him he's going to be king, when he's clearly going to, like, make things happen? Why didn't you let me explain things? Why didn't you let me explain that we were magic? Why didn't... And, which is worse, all you have done hath been but for a wayward son, spiteful and wrathful, who, as others do, loves for his own ends, not for you. But make amends now, get you gone, and at the pit of Acheron, meet me in the morning. Thither he will come to know his destiny. Your vessels and your spells provide, your charms and everything beside. I am, for the air, this night I'll spend until unto a dismal and fatal end. Great business must be wrought ere noon, upon the corner of the moon there hangs a vaporous drop profound. I'll catch it ere it comes to ground, and that, distilled by magic sleights, shall raise such artificial sprites, as by the strength of their illusion shall draw him on to his confusion. He shall spur fate, scorn death, and bear his hopes both wisdom, grace, and fear, and you all know security is mortal's chiefest enemy. So she's just like, look, we gotta have a meeting with Macbeth. We gotta tell him what's up, and honestly, it might end in him dying. Just so you know. Like, you gotta be prepared. This might happen. And then there's music. Do 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 do. I don't know why the Titanic came to mind. Maybe it's because there's a boat at the beginning. Anyway, and the spirits enter above, and they begin the song, "Come away, come away, come away, come away. Let's go, Hecate, come away. Do 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 do. Come away, come away, come away." And Hecate says, "Hark, I am called, my little spirit sea sits in a foggy cloud and stays for me. And the spirits continue the song. Come away, come away, let's go, Hakat, and come away. And then the song and music ends because Hakat exits, and the spirits exunt. And which one says, come, let's make haste. She'll soon be back again. And then scene 6 has the most specific setting of all of the settings we have read thus far in a Shakespeare play. A location in Scotland. It's a location, and it is in Scotland. I have a feeling that when Shakespeare wrote this, he had never been to Scotland. And Lennox comes in with another lord, and Lennox says, my former speeches have but hit your thoughts. Right, I know, Lorenzo. Oh, that place. Ah! My former speeches have but hit your thoughts, which can interpret farther. Only I say things have been strangely born. The gracious Duncan was pitied of Macbeth. Marry, he was dead. And the right valiant Banquo walked too late, whom you may say, if it please you, Fleance killed, for Fleance fled. Men must not walk too late, who cannot want the thought, how monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father. Damned fact! How it did grieve Macbeth! Did he not straight in pious rage the two delinquents tear, that were the slaves of drink and thralls of sleep? Was not that nobly done? Aye, and wisely too, for 'twould have angered any heart alive to hear the men deny it, so that I say he has borne all things well, and I do think that had he Duncan's son under his key, as, and it please heaven he shall not, they should find what 'twere to kill a father. So should Fleance. But peace for from broad words, and cause he failed. His presence at the tyrant's feast I hear. Macduff lives in disgrace. Sir, can you tell where he bestows himself? So, okay. Lennox, who I think is just a landowner, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's just a thane. He's just a little thane. Thane is like, what if Fleance killed his own dad? He fled the scene. He didn't come to the party. He didn't report anything. So maybe he killed his father. And Lord, just a random ass lord in a random ass place in Scotland says, the son of Duncan, for whom this tyrant holds the due of birth, lives in the English court and is received of the most pious Edward with such grace that the malevolence of fortune nothing takes from his high respect. Thither Macduff is gone to pray the holy king upon his aid to wake Northumberland in warlike seaward, that by the help of these with him above to ratify the work, we may again give to our tables meat, sleep to our knights, free from our feasts and banquets, bloody knives do faithful homage and receive free honours, all which we pine for now. And this report hath so exasperate the king that he prepares for some attempt of war. Macbeth is trying to start a war? What? And Lennox said, sent he to Macduff? And Lord said, he did. And with an absolute, sir, not I. The cloudy messenger turns me his back, and hums as who should say, you'll rue the time that clogs me with this answer. And Lennox says, and that well might advise him to a caution, to hold what distance his wisdom can provide. Some holy angel fly to the court of England and unfold his message ere he come, that a swift blessing may soon return to this, our suffering country under a hand accursed. And the Lord says, I'll send my prayers with him. And they exunt. Okay, so they're just gossiping about what's happening. They're just like, okay, Macbeth is sending a messenger to talk to Macduff about some shit. Why is Macbeth doing McMurder if he can't McHandle it? It's frustrating. I don't understand. But thank you for watching today. Thank you for watching the read-through of Act 3 of Macbeth. Tomorrow we will read through Act 4. I am so excited. If you enjoyed today's stream, feel free to follow. If not, that's fine. If you would like to watch previous streams, they are on my YouTube channel. Right now I only have part of Act 1 uploaded, but you can watch the first half of Act 1. I will upload the second half of Act 1 today. That is the McQuestion. So, yeah. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in, Lorenzo. Thanks for coming in, Patrick. And anybody else who contributed to chat. I had a great time today. I enjoyed the reading today. I got frustrated, but I think it makes sense. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Have a great whatever you're doing right now. And I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.